Hi, I'm Ron Dwinnells. I am a physician, a pediatrician. I'm a chief executive officer. I'm also a professor at a medical school. I work primarily in Northeast Ohio for a large community health organization as well as the local medical school. When I first started right after medical school in residency, my life as a pediatrician was quite busy. I took care of kids all day long. I would see them in the clinical situation. I would see them in the hospitals. Sometimes in the middle of the night, on weekends, I would get calls all hours of the day and night. But basically, I took care of the kids with all kinds of ailments. As I evolved into more of a teaching aspect, I was teaching future physicians through medical school and residency programs and so forth. That eventually evolved into my current position, which is I'm a chief executive officer of a very large clinical program. And that job is all administration, and I don't have any hands-on medical experience these days. However, I feel that I have touched more lives now as an administrator than I did as a pediatrician. As a pediatrician, I could do the one-on-one treatment with the kids and the parents and so forth, but as an administrator, I can affect a large group of people through various programs that I create. So one of the programs that I've recently created was what we call an integrative healthcare delivery model, which means that we have clinical programs, medical programs, I brought in dental programs, and I brought in behavioral health programs. And they all integrate so that they work together because, hey, let's face it, the teeth is not separate from the mind, it's not separate from the body, and it's all related. So, so that program has been extremely successful, and I can tell you that we've saved people's lives every day just by integrating these services like that. So that's my life these days. A little bit different than the pediatrician days, but it's just as much or more rewarding now than ever. Okay, so how I started in medicine. I will start a little bit back further into high school. So when I was in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I took a lot of math classes. I was pretty good in math, but I thought maybe I was going into engineering. Went to see the guidance counselor my senior year of high school, and they told me that I should join the Army then. They were telling all of us boys to join the Army. And, but we didn't want to because that was the Vietnam years, and we didn't want to go to war at this point. So anyway, as I was walking out, I picked up a brochure of the University of Kentucky College of Medicine. I go home and look at it a couple days later, and I'm leafing through the bulletin, and there were some really cool looking pictures of kids kind of my age with stethoscopes around their neck, the white coat, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I might want to be a doctor. So anyway, I told my mom, hey Mom, I'm going to be a doctor. And she said, she looked at me sternly and she said, no, she said, only rich kids and doctors' kids can go to medical school, and you're not either. And okay, so I was one of these boisterous kinds of kids, and I said, well, you know what, watch me. So that's why I went to medical school. There's other stories to that, but that's irrelevant at this point. So I went to medical school. I hated it. Okay, it's not a negative. I hate it. I didn't like it because it was very, very hard. And I didn't have the passion. I didn't go to medical school for the right reasons. I went because I was going to show my mom that I could get in. There's a good ending to this story. So anyway, so I go to medical school, and the rigors of medical school is very difficult. Every day we had 8 to 5 lectures. Around the clock we would have exams on weekends. We would, the first 2 years, you didn't sleep. After you got done with classes, you would study all night and then get ready for the next day. The 3rd and 4th years of medical school were all clinical. They were difficult because, again, you didn't sleep too much. But what I took out of med school was, wow, I'm one of very few people that can learn all these wonderful things about the human body and how to take care of it. And that's what I ended up getting out of this. And many years later, I found many passions that's related to medical school. And I absolutely love what I've done and what I'm doing. In terms of quality of life, being a physician did afford me a high quality of life. I get paid very well. Sometimes I think too much, but it's okay. But I have the ability now as the Chief Executive Officer to create things, to do new things, and so forth. To me, that's more of a benefit than the financial benefits. But it did afford me a lot of an ability to do a lot of things in my life. So one of my passions these days is to climb mountains. I climb lots of mountains, and I actually climb them for fundraisers. I created my own foundation to help kids who are traumatized, and that's where our money goes to. And so I've been able to do a lot of things because I went to medical school, because I picked up that brochure that day and looked at it. Things happen for a reason, and that was a wonderful thing that happened to me. So that's my quick story on why I went to medical school and what I've gotten out of it so far. So my educational pathway to what I'm doing now is that I did go to college for 4 years to get my undergraduate degree. My degree was in biology. You pretty much needed a science background to even apply to medical school. But I did have people in my class who were English majors. One was a physics major. One was some kind of an art major. So you can go to medical school without a science background. You have to have some prerequisites to do that, but that is possible. So went to college, went to medical school for 4 years, and after that we had to choose a specialty. So my choice was to become a pediatrician, a doctor for children. And I went for 3 years to do that. And then after that, I started practicing medicine. Later on, I also earned my MBA, Master's of Business Administration, at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. That was because I was going into administration and I needed to learn the business aspect of it. What I teach at the medical school primarily these days are leadership classes. This is in graduate school as well as medical school. So doctors are natural leaders in the clinical area. They have to be leaders. People look up to them because of their educational background and the type of work they do. So my primary class lectures are based on leadership concepts and ideas and so forth. I have to give a lot of credit to my chemistry classes. Not because I learned chemistry, but because I learned how to think. And the teacher that I had, was an extremely passionate person, and I learned passion from him. I also learned competitiveness from him, because after every exam, he would pass out the test score, or your test exams back, and he would rank you compared to your classmates, where you were in that particular test. So, of course, being competitive, I wanted the first place, and so it instilled a lot of competition, which if in medical school, you need to be on top of your game every minute. You have to do well on these exams, you have to understand all these things and so forth. So, so probably chemistry, not because of the chemistry itself, but because of what it did for me. Allowed me to learn how to think and problem solve, and again, the other parts of it because of the teacher.